Thank you, comrade. My name is Frank Lara. I've been an educator for more than 10 years here in San Francisco in the largely Latino district of the Mission. Myself, as a union activist, obviously, as a PSL member, we were always told first thing you want to do is strengthen your union, make it a fighting union. So I got involved very quickly with that and joined the executive committee of my union, 6,000 members, for the last 6 years now. So part of that conversation we've been having in terms of the importance of unions, a lot of it can be generally as the working class. But under capitalism, we know that that capitalism finds a way of dividing us, of separating us through identity, through legacies, through histories. But the truth is that until we understand ourselves as a body, as a union, really as a class, we will not be able to solve the issues under capitalism. So when we talk about the union, we should not also just add that as another identity, as another category within the working class struggle. Because unions, although they express a very important beginning of what working class solidarity, working class unity looks like in organized working class fighting for the benefit of of members in a particular area of work, really what we're talking about is how do we use that as PSL members, as revolutionaries. We have to see how do we show that to inspire the broader community, because we as members, as PSL members, as union members, we don't fit in a bubble. We live under all the conditions, all the things, the children that we serve. I myself as an educator have seen the struggles that our families face. We cannot just deal with the problems of society saying that I myself, under the best circumstance, under my best teaching days, I myself am going to solve the issues of lack of housing, a lack of education, of lack of opportunity. And for me to suddenly say, and all our educators, with the social justice lens, educators who are really trying to push the understanding of how we bring about genuine liberation for our families. When we talk about that, we say the struggle doesn't end in the classroom. It doesn't end when that child comes in. That child comes in with a lot of needs, with a lot of struggles, their family struggles. So when we deal with that in the classroom, we also have to start thinking, how are we going to fight beyond the classroom? Not just in the 8-hour workday when I'm teaching. That is not true liberation. So when we talk about union and community, we have to start breaking that understanding that myself as a union member only fight for my members, only fight for the people in my union, because I know that when I go back to the classroom, my families are struggling, my students are struggling. So what does that look like concretely for our union, particularly our union here in San Francisco, the United Educators of San Francisco, is that we have always stood for housing rights. We have always joined coalitions, nonprofits, or campaigns that have fought for the basic needs of San Francisco families. So one thing most recently, the United Educators San Francisco started a Pledge Your Stimulus Check campaign for undocumented families. We have raised over $70,000. Educators have paid. We have pledged $120,000, which we're still working to distribute. And that is what we're talking about, real solidarity. The fact that we know as educators, we want to meet those needs. We as a union have fought for privileges for ourselves to maintain a sense of stability, a sense of dignity. But we know that beyond our personal needs, we also have to lift the families, because if not, if we don't all come and rise together, we're going to go back to the same situation that we were faced before. So through that campaign, on top of also politically, our state union, the California Federation of Teachers, have multiple times passed resolutions against the border wall for full rights. Those are things that we then lift each other's voice. And on one level, it's not just a moral thing. It's not just a thing that makes us feel good. But if you think about it, how the ruling class divides us, the antithesis to that is really unifying. Because if the ruling class can then go to a union worker and say, hey, I'm going to pay this other worker who I've not guaranteed any rights, who I actually don't acknowledge exist, who I keep terrorizing, right? And that worker has to then lower their standard of living to subsist under capitalism. then what continues to happen is that the whole level of living conditions lowers to that point. And then we as union members get told that our privileges are not worth it, that then we get distributed the crumbs and the ruling class then uses us to divide and conquer. So on another level, on a scientific level, on a tactical level, we have to understand that until we guarantee all working people in the US, all of them, a dignified living, a dignified rights, then we will finally be unified and not allow them to divide, because immigrants want to fight for the rights. We've seen that every time. The only reason why we're seeing a massive upsurge in union organizing, especially at the base, especially in the private sector, is because it's full. It's all of it. All the memberships are full of immigrants from all types, from first generation, second generation. That is what's pushing the leadership forward, because we have no other alternative but to fight. So when we say how to bring together the unity between community and the union, we have to actively look for opportunities to lend each other a hand. That as union members, when we build privileges, it's not to further consume, it's not to further gain privileges, because at the end of the day, we have seen time and time again that it bottoms out. There is not enough if all of us try to pretend to be capitalist. But the fact that if we start gathering and building our communities together, we can actually, there's enough for all of us to live well. But we have to target the rich, we have to target the wealthy, and that starts by building real, genuine unity in the community and in unions.